Hello everyone, and thanks for joining me on my devlog series. Today we'll take a look to my project structure and how I structure my code using ECS, some explanation about ECS, and how to implement ECS to Phaser3 project. So, let's get started with ECS. ECS or Entity Component System is software architecture pattern that follow the composition of our inheritance principle. In ECS, we think about data, query, and the logic to process the data to perform a behavior that we wanted. Let's look at three main aspects of ECS. The first one is entity. We can think of entity as an empty shell that by default only contains unique identifier. And then component. Component is just struct of data, or data class or tag, that has no behavior or logic in it, just a pure data. And the last one is system. System is where we put our logic and code. For example, we can query a subset of entities with certain components and then modify the value of the components to make some behavior. Here is the example of how ECS works. First, we have a concept of entity containers. It can be a word, manager, container, or engine. For this example, let's call it word. In ECS, we can create entity and place it inside the word. And then we can attach components to the entity. And then we can create system and attach it to the word. For example, here is movement system. This system will query all entities in the word that have position component and velocity component attached to it. And then modify the position value based on velocity to make a movement behavior. The next example is date system. The system will query all entities in the word that have hard component attached to it, and then mark it as dead if the hard value is 0. This is just simple explanation of ECS. ECS is interesting, and there is much more about ECS that we are not covering in this video. If you're interested to know more about ECS, please let me know in the comment below. I really like the idea that entity is nothing but collection of data. And so, there is no need to think about relationship between class or object. I think it makes the code base scale very well. However, I use ECS only for the purpose of code structure. Also, Phaser3 is not built with ECS concept. So I will not forcing to use pure ECS approach in my project. Moving on, let's talk about project structure. The way we structure our project is very important. If we carefully structure our project, it will become more easy to maintenance, especially when the project starts to grow bigger. Here is how I structure my project. Of course, yours can be different. I personally find that my project structure also changes time after time, based on experience from past projects. Moving on, let's create some user interface for my game. In Tropic, I want to build a mechanic for players to gathering resources. So, let's create the UI to show the resource. And here is the result. Next, I want to create a tree, and I want the player to be able to interact and destroy the tree, and also collect wood when the tree is destroyed. I also want to show the description when players stand close to the tree. So here is how I compose the tree entity. First, we create tree actor. And then we attach interactable component, so we can create a system to highlight and select the tree when player is close to the tree. Demageable component, so we can create system to demage the tree when the player press the action button while the tree is selected. Describable component, so we can create system to show description box when the tree is selected. And load producer. So we can create system to drop a loot when the tree is destroyed. And here is how I compose my prior actor. And here is the result. I also create system to spawn a new tree with some delay. And I also add the shaking effect to the tree when it takes damage. Here is how I create the shaking effect. And that is it for now. I really appreciate that you stay until the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this video and please let me know what you think in the comment below. See you in the next video.